So welcome back, my dear students. Welcome back, everyone. We are here now to a new aspects regarding the journal entries. And we are talking today about the two things about the expenses, like the insurance. And we will talk about also the sales. We'll talk about the sales transactions, how the sales transaction should be. Also, that's what we will work on today. So we talk about the when we want to get the purchases in the previous lecture, and we said it will be from the, like here, this is the purchases, from the purchases into cash, because the cash is reduced and the purchase is an asset which is increased, so the increase will be debit, and when the cash, which is assets, decrease, that means it is credit. Today we'll resume working on a new topic, which are the sales. What we will do in this is, we know also if I will buy or purchase some of my needs cash, and some of them I will pay later. So the transaction will be from purchases into cash and account receivables, or purchases will be debit, cash and account receivable will be account payable will be credit. Today we will talk about the second part, which is the sales transactions, So sales means that you have money which will come into your pocket because you will sell. Simply you will sell. So the sales transactions means when you sell, what will happen? Let us understand it. When we sell, what will happen? Actually, what will happen when we sell, the cash will increase because money is coming to our pockets. Okay. And sales will decrease. So it will be from cash to sales. From cash to sales. Let us go directly for an example and see what will happen in the sales transaction. Let's take first the cash sales. On October 11, the company sold goods of $5,000 in cash. So they sold, the company sold in cash for $5,000. So what happened here? Cash is increased and cash is assets. We know when the increase in assets, it will be debit, right? So here in the case, increase in assets means debit. So I will go do it like this: insert table 4x4, 4x4, that's fine. And the last two columns, this column will be here and this column will be here. That's more than enough. And for me, a space for myself. So I will say here now, I will go to my page on October 11. Then this is October 11. Here it is, Control and C. And I will put October 11 here, Control and V. The company sold goods of 5,000 in cash. Oh, so what will happen here? The cash is increased and cash is an asset. And when an asset increase, this is debit. So I will say from cash, and go down just a little bit into sales. From cash into sales. Here I will put in the right, but not so far to the right, just a little bit here. Here we go. From cash to sales with the amount which is 5,000. So I will write 5,000 here once. And I will write it down here another once. And I will put it down here, right here. Perfect. No, we want you beside this one here. Okay. So cash to sales, 5,000, 5,000. Then what is the description of this transaction? sales on cash. Sales on cash. That will be the description of the transaction. Here we go. And here it is bold on Time New Roman. We are good now, I think, except only we want to put this just a little bit down. Here it is. So from cash into sales. From cash, because cash is increased, that is debit, into sales, because sales are credit in this situation. Okay, so here is our first transaction today. And I want you to write one like it exactly. So I will take it, Control and C, and I want you guys to do one like it exactly. I will change only here. It will be October 13. The company sold goods of 10,000. I will make it 10,000. And the purpose only is to understand how to do the transaction. This exercise, and I will keep you to work in it around 5 minutes or 4 minutes. It's not worth all this. So please do it. Thank you so much. I'm here waiting for your answers. I will wait for your answers. Thank you. Okay, shall move now forward for the next part. I will do the same example and I will do exactly like that one, but only I will change in the dates and the amounts, and the others are all the same. So October 13, that will be 13. That will be here 3 on 3. And the amount of cash is 10,000 instead of 5,000. So this will be 10 more, 10 more here, and 10 more here, and that's it. And that's it. I highlight only the consider of the transaction, how it looks like. So do the transaction by that way. So it's from cash, like I said, into sales, and with the amount of the 5,000 here, like what we said. Since when we sell, the cash will increase. So the cash increase, this is an asset, will increase, an asset will increase, that means it's debit. Debit means slide to the left. Credit slide to the right. The sales will be credit and slides to the right. So here we go now. We'll move into our next transactions. How about, I'm just asking you, how about if I sell part of the sales in cash and part of the sales I receive the buyer to whom I sold told me, I don't have money now, but I will pay for you in the future. What will be the situation here? What will be the situation here? Let us say now how it will be. From how it will be. Okay. Let me remind you with what we said before about the sales in this particulars when we sell and when we buy. When we sell and when we buy. So as example here, the cash, the purchases, the inventory, we didn't, we said expend and expenses to cash, and here from cash into notes payable. Okay, when we borrow from the bank, from the purchases to cash, when we purchase in cash, and from purchase into account payable, when we purchase on credit. Here we have also from purchase to cash and to account payable. Okay. Let's move forward here. And I'm just looking for a transaction including, look at this. Goods are sold for 5,000 to a customer, right? With payment to be made on a later date. So from account receivables to the sales. That is, if the client will pay later on. In the previous, we said from cash to sales, like I showed you here. We did from cash to sales, but this because it was cash. But now it came the time when there is sales on credit. Means you sell and you will take the money later. That's what we mean. You sell and you will take the money later on. We said this, we had this example before. Let us take this example from the notes here. Goods are sold for $5,000 to a customer with payment to be made later date. So I sold here already, but the payment will be later date. That means we have account receivable. We have account receivable. So what? So it will be instead of from cash to sales, because we didn't pay in cash, they didn't pay us in cash. So it will be from account receivables to the sales. So here it will be from account receivable to the sales. Control and C. And I will put it here right now. Just give me a chance, please. Here, Control and V. I will remove all what's written here inside this. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I'm just instead of making another table. So why not? Why don't we work on this table? It already did it. And I will delete this cell here, that entire row. Now I can do the transactions. Goods are sold for 5,000. Yes, but wait a minute. Are it sold? Let us make on Jan 15. So we'll say here, or Jan 15. This is the date. Goods are sold. We are selling here. So we're expecting into sales. It will be to sales. So the sales will be credit for 5,000. Wait a minute. If it was cash, we would say from cash to sales was 5,000. But wait a minute. To a customer, look at this, with payment to be made at the later date. Here it will be, as long as it's later date, then we will say from account receivable into cash. From account receivable into cash. Okay, that will be because he didn't pay. Simply two sales. Sorry, two sales. I'm sorry about that. Two sales. Simply why why we consider account receivable? Because he didn't pay in cash. He paid in account receivable, like what you see here. So from account receivables into sales. Account receivable means what? That you sold to someone and he didn't give you the money in your hand. No, he told you, hey, I will pay later on after 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Okay. Okay. So the amount is 5,000. 5,000. Here is the 5,000. Control and C. Control and V. Again, Control and V. And we'll make the whole table so that will be adjusted in front of itself. Here, 14. So here it is. Goods are sold for 5,000 to a customer whose payment to be made at the later from accounts receivable to the sales. You can write off merchants or not, it's not a big deal. So from account receivable to the sales. And like I told you before, you can write it ACC, REC means account receivable into the sales. Notice that in the sales, always the sales will be into the credit. Sales will be on the credit. Okay, now it's your turn, my dears, to do this transaction. On Jan 28, goods are sold for $10,000 to a customer whose payment to be made at later date. So could you please do this for me? It's exactly like this one. Account receivable into sales, but the amount will be 10,000 instead of 5,000, and that's it. So solution of it will be the same, but you will change the amount and you will change the date. Okay. So here the time is more than enough. Only you will change the date. It will be June. Let's take this table here. And I will put it here. So I'm solving this question now. It will be Jan 28. And the amount is 10,000 instead of 5,000. So this will be 10. And this will be 10. And I will say sales on credit. sales on credit. That will be the description of the selling process, sales on credit. So this is when you sell from account receivable and sales. Okay. How about is if a part of this transaction was done on credits and parts was done in cash? What we will do now, let us take this example. On Jan, or on, let's say on January 28, the company sold goods of dollars here. The dollars is the dollar signs here of dollars. Sorry about that, of dollars. Let's say 20,000 dollars, 20,000. 40% with 40% in cash and the rest is to be paid after 3 months. Cool. That means that only we receive cash 40% of the 20,000, and the rest is to be paid after 3 months. This means account receivable. This means account receivable. Why? Because you will not take all your money in cash. You will take only 40% of them. So let's first calculate the 40%. Then the cash money will equals 20,000 times the 40%. That will make $8,000. $1,000, and we will put the sign of the dollar. Here it is, $8,000. Okay, then what about the account receivables? Because the others, I will say, hey, the buyer will say to me, I will not pay you now, I will pay you later. So I said, okay, you will sign checks, you will sign a bill of exchange or whatever. So it will consider as account receivable. So in that case, part of it, then the account receivable part will equals the 20,000 minus the 8,000. That will equal 12,000. So I will say in this case to do it like this. Insert table. Here we go. Then I will do like this. Jan 28. Here we go. The date is here. Then, sorry about that. Control and V. Oh, we didn't take all of it. That's right. No problem. Control and C. Then here, Control and V. Then we will say, actually, this time we have two parts of the transaction. It's not only from cash to sales. No, it's from cash and account receivables into sales. So a cash with the amount of $8,000. Account receivable, down it, I will do it here. Down it, account receivable with the amount of, let's do it in the Okay, account receivable with the amount of the account receivable will be with the amount of $12,000 because all of them are 20,000. So cash will be 8,000. Account receivable, I'll adjust it right now. Let me adjust it so that will be, yeah, like this. Then that will be into sales, which are 20,000. By the way, we have to put the sales down here in front of the sales here, and the sales will be moved a little bit to the right like this. So the cash and the account receivable, because I received 8,000 only, and account receivable means the buyer who bought from me, he didn't pay the whole amount. He paid only 8,000 in cash and 12,000 to be arranged to be paid within 3 or 4 months. So from cash, account receivables into the sales. The sales are $20,000, like what you see here in front of you. Let me just make it bold, so it will be, and make it 16 also. Make it 16, that's fine. Okay, so here from the cash and account receivable, those are the debit side to the sales, which is the credit side. Okay, so those 18 and 12,000, those are debit, and here the 20,000 will be credit front of the sales. And then sales in cash and credit. And this is the and credit, because I paid part of it in cash and the other part in credit. Sales in cash and credit. That will be the description, and I don't want you to forget, actually, I don't want you to forget the description of the whole things. And also, let us do this like this to be a little bit so, yeah. So here we go from cash and account receivable into sales. If all the sales are later, you will pay the 20,000. It will be from account receivable to the sales. If the sales are all in cash, it will be from cash to the sales. But if it's partially cash and other part in credit, it will be from cash account receivable into the sales with this amount. All I will do right now is just give you another example. Exactly the same. We will only change the numbers. Here we go. On January 28, we'll change it into January 30. And here it will be 15,000 with payment of with 10,000 or 5,000 in cash, and the rest will be 10,000. So it will be cash 5,000 and account receivable 10,000 to 15 sales. So that's what I want you to do it right now, please, with your hand, because the main purpose to stop and for you to work is just to be very accommodated and very familiar with how we solve these accounting problems. Thank you so much. I'll give you here around 5 minutes to work on this example. And only you will be here so that you will not be confused. It's here, so you will not be confused about it. So all we'll do now, just I'll repeat it back so that we'll not draw another table. This is the solution. We'll go for the solution right away. Here we go. So I'll do another table instead of writing a table. I took this copy and paste and I'll change for it. This will be January 30. And from cash and account receivable, look at this now. The cash is 5,000, so the cash will be here 5,000. And the account receivable are the rest, which is 10,000. To all of them are 15,000 sales are 15,000. That is how it work. How it will work. Today we learn about what to do in the purchases and what to do in the sales. We learn if we have a sales in cash, from cash to sales. From cash to sales, if there is, we sold in cash, like this, from cash to sales. This is the first point. The second point, if I didn't receive any cent, I sold and I didn't receive any cent, and they told me we will pay after 3 months, then it will be from account receivable to sales. It will be from account receivable into sales. It's the second thing. And the third thing is, what about if I receive part of the money in cash and part of it in account receivable? So it will be from cash and account receivable into sales. From cash and account receivable into sales, and that's it. We came to an end of this lecture now. Thank you so much. Shall see you in the next lecture. Have a good day, everyone.